Yes, I understand.
Hello and welcome to Clay Pigeon. On the 9th of August 2020, the Formula Blues are back on track once again for round 3 of the NKRA and Blue Challenge, both running reduced schedules due to lockdown. Here's the current championship order. David Watts currently leading the way with a perfect score of 0. Taylor Waldron heads the chasing pack with Stuart Gray in 3rd. 2019 champion Anthony Cleal in 4th ahead of Russell O'Neill and Mike Bell, with Nigel Vickery, Sarita Showing, David Waldron and Paul Alexander running at the top 10. It's going to be a very hot one this weekend, about 30 degrees, 12 minutes plus 1 lap final in store for the Formula Blue, so it's going to be pretty hard on the drivers. Let's see how they handle it. In the subclasses, the Blue Masters is headed by Anthony Cleal with Stuart Gray 2nd, ahead of Russell O'Neill with David Waldron and Nigel Vickery. David Good, Ben Joseph, Paul Alexander and Dybel ahead of Mark Cook. And in the Blue Veterans, it's Anthony Cleal ahead of Stuart Gray with David Waldron in 3rd, ahead of Nigel Vickery, David Good, Paul Dybel, Paul Alexander, Kevin O'Neill, Mark Cook and Ron Schoen. 2 more subclasses. They've got the Legends and the Top Weights that will be coming up momentarily. And here they are, the Legends led by Stuart Gray by virtue of drop score ahead of David Good, with Mark Cook 3rd ahead of Kevin O'Neill, Ron Schoen and Jeff Webster. And Mark Cook leading the top weights from a joint 2nd place of Ben Joseph and Paul Dybel, ahead of Ron Schoen, Rob Mortimer, Alan Lewis and Mike Watts rounding out the class. There's Mike Watts in the green giving a good luck pat on the head to Anthony Cleal. Cleal and Mike Watts' son David Watts have a very good friendly rivalry going on at the moment. And here's the Tabor Customer Prize Funds. 2019 champion Russell O'Neill leading the way ahead of Mike Bell in 2nd, with Kevin O'Neill and David Waldron 3rd and 4th ahead of Ron Schoen, David Good, Paul Alexander, Anthony Cleal, Sarita Showing and Nigel Vickery rounding out the top 10. That's for the customers of Tabor who have a cart purchased or a engine maintained by Tabor. And in the 3 heats today so far, Dave Watts took the win of Heat 1 from Mike Bell, Russell O'Neill, Anthony Cleal and Sarita Showing. Anthony Cleal firing back for the win in Heat 2 ahead of Taylor Waldron, Sarita Showing, Dave Watts and Stuart Gray. And in Heat 3, Anthony Cleal took the win again, this time from Stuart Gray, Dave Watts, Michael Bell and Russell O'Neill. And that's number 8, David Waldron. Looks like his kart's having some problems started, so one of the mechanics has jumped in to help him out. Actually, one of the Haworth Racing mechanics who are looking after Stuart Gray this weekend. The grid as things stand, Anthony Cleal takes pole position with David Watts in 2nd. Michael Bell and Sarita Showing make up row 2 ahead of Russell O'Neill, ahead of Stuart Gray on tiebreak on row 3. Taylor Waldron 7th ahead of Ben Joseph, with number 27 Kieran Quirk, the novice, starting up in 9th. David Waldron, the number 8, if he can get it going, will be starting in 10th. They're just going to move the cart out of the way for a minute to try and get working on it. Ron Schoen's going to be behind him in 11th, ahead of this man, Paul Alexander, with Alan Lewis, and then this man, Kevin O'Neill, in 14th, ahead of Jeff Webster, with a non-start from David Good. He broke a collarbone, I believe, in a cycling accident earlier in the week. So we will be wishing him the best of luck and a speedy recovery and hope to see him back on track soon. As you would have seen in the pre-race build-up to this, we had a few Junior Blues out on track on Friday, with the aim of getting Junior Blue back up and running for 2021. And to help out, Tabor are offering a free engine for your first year of competition in a kind of engine deal thing. If you want to learn more about that, check the link in the description below. As there's Jeff Webster getting out and onto the circuit. He must have had a little bit of a problem getting going as well. As Anthony Cleal and Dave Watts can start bunching the pack up as they go through the horseshoe and up towards Buttons. There's Kevin O'Neill starting to range in on the back of the pack and up towards top end, and there's David Waldron taking advantage of the cut through just to catch back up just a little quick. He's going to take his position on the grid and then we will be heading to the green flag. Alright, for number 1, Anthony Cleal, he's got control of the start ahead of number 3, David Watts, and away we go, and a great start from Waldron. Must have had a bit of a run up. Cleal's got a good start, and that's a signal which means we're going to be going round for one more rolling lap. Evidently the clerk of the course and the officials not happy that they weren't in their correct order, so everyone's going to get back up together. David Waldron's going to retake his place, and then we're going to be going green again at the end of this lap. See, now up onto the Sturmey straight they go. Still roughly in 2x2 formation. Cleal keeping the 2nd rolling lap very slow indeed. Ahead of David Watts with Bell, Schoen, Russell O'Neill, and the bright yellow and blue Stuart Gray. That kart was built on Friday, basically after a accident last month, and and Stuart Gray has done a great job putting that thing up on row 3 of the grid. We'll see how he goes in the final. There's Jeff Webster just catching back up to the back of the pack. All 15 karts are accounted for and in the right position, so we should be going green this time by. So keep an eye for number 1, Anthony Cleal. Going to be looking to get a good start. Outstart number 3, David Watts. You can see Watts keeping dead level with Cleal, not giving him any room at all. We go down towards the line now, and away we go, and a great start from Anthony Cleal. Great start, he's pulled away massively. Bell's going to catch up alongside with David Watts. Russell O'Neill getting mugged, so it's Cleal leading into the first turn from Bell and Watts. Side by side, that's number 40, Ben Joseph, going around the outside of Russell O'Neill. Taylor Waldron up the inside of Russell O'Neill and Ben Joseph through the chicane, so a great opportunistic move from Waldron. Meanwhile, up into the hairpin, Cleal leads. Watts back up to second, ahead of Bell, Shone, Gray. Side by side, that's Paul Alexander and Kieran Quirk, and that's Sarita Shone looking to the inside of Mike Bell through the horseshoe, but nothing doing there. But look at the lead Cleal's got just from getting to turn 1 first and not being in the battle. Now we're on board with Russell O'Neill chasing the Welsh Dragon on the back of Ben Joseph at number 40. O'Neill having a bit of a poor getaway at the start of this race. Ben Joseph jumping him and Taylor Waldron jumping both of them, as old Joseph gets a bit of a twitch under braking into Billy's blind. Russell O'Neill's going to beat him to the apex, and sure enough, O'Neill going to go through into the chicane. As there's the leader, Anthony Cleal. You can see the gap he's got from Watts, Bell, Shone. Stuart Gray's going to run wide, and Taylor Waldron's going to get up the inside and make the place ahead of Gray, O'Neill, Joseph, and David Waldron in the Octane. Good to see that he's gotten his problem fixed. He's out there on track. Now on board with Russell O'Neill heading up towards Top Bend. Number 15 ahead of us is Stuart Gray. Then O'Neill's going to close right up, but Gray's going to get the exit. Stuart Gray now focusing on the back of Taylor Waldron, but Russell O'Neill with the new fastest lap of the race already, so the man on the move is the number 6, down in 7th place though. He's got a lot of ground to make up, and got a lot of karts to try and get through to do it. He's up into the hairpin once more. It's Cleal, Watts, Bell, Shone, Waldron, Gray, O'Neill, and there's a gap. Joseph, Waldron, Quirk, Alexander, and Ron Shone hanging on to the back of that group. Ben Joseph starting to become a bit of a cork in the bottle, it seems. David Waldron's all over the back of him, and Kieran Quirk as well, all over the back of Waldron. Quirk showing great racing head for a novice. He's up already into 10th place. Now he's having a look at David Waldron. Nothing doing there into Billy's blind. And that's going to give Paul Alexander a bit of a chance to close in as well, as onto the Sturmy Straight once again. So Sarita Shone covering the inside from Taylor Waldron. Quirk not covering the inside though. Paul Alexander's going to have a think about it. He's going to have a go, but nothing doing from Alexander. Quirk's going to get the exit and get back around the outside. Meanwhile, number 2, Taylor Waldron with the new fastest lap of the race that last time by. Here we go once again out of Top Bend. Cleal, you can see he's starting to extend that gap even further. Watson Bell, 2nd and 3rd, and Sarita Shone starting to have to defend from Waldron. Backing Waldron into Gray, backing Gray into O'Neill. That's a 4-kart train as they're going to go through Billy's blind and into the chicane once again. Look at that, Sarita Shone with the black bumper, Waldron with the white, Stuart Gray in the bright colours, and then Russell O'Neill in behind. Waldron to the inside. Waldron's going to get past Sarita Shone. Stuart Gray's going to get past them both as Waldron gets dubbed down on exit. Sarita Shone gets a good exit, manages to cover off Russell O'Neill. So Stuart Gray goes up 2. Taylor Waldron stays where he is. Sarita Shone goes down 2. Russell O'Neill must be ruining that as a missed opportunity, as he's still behind the number 4 of Sarita Shone as they come out of Top Bend once again and down the straight. And that's Taylor Waldron. And number 2 going slowly. Looks like it's starting to pick up again though, so maybe a misfire, maybe a small cough, who knows. But that's going to really hurt the number 2, as he's going to be dropping him a couple of places down and through the chicane. It looks like it's dying on him, so Taylor Waldron's going to be cruising that thing back to the pit, so number 2 not getting off to the race he would like. Now on board with Alexander. All this group's going to be up a place down to the demise of Waldron. Still Alexander though behind Quirk, still Quirk behind Waldron, and still Waldron behind Ben Joseph. He's not been able to find an opportunity, and if anything it looks like Quirk's more likely to have a go at Waldron, as here comes O'Neill to the inside of the King. We're going to back out of that against Sarita Shone now. Russell O'Neill definitely looks racy, as Sarita Shone's going to run wide in Billy's blind. Russell O'Neill up the inside and into the chicane. He's going to leave Shone a lot of room as they get through there side by side, both leaving a lot of room. As that's Stuart Gray right on the tail of Bell and Watts, and Anthony Cleal with the new fastest lap. As Paul Alexander looking to the inside of Kieran Quirk once again in the hairpin, but nothing doing there. Quirk gets a good exit. And Paul Alexander still sitting behind the novice in 10th place, with Ron Shone behind him. Now starting another lap, Cleo, then Watts, Bell and Stuart Gray with a new fastest lap. Gray, the first driver into the 36s this final. Track's so hot, it's slowing the tyres down a fair chunk. So don't expect anybody to get too much quicker than that. Meanwhile, Alexander all over the back of Kieran Quirk. Quirk having a look at Waldron, but he's going to the left, he's going to the outside. Maybe trying to switch back. Alexander thinks about sticking his nose in, but nothing doing there as they go into the horseshoe once again. Waldron runs a very tight line to the horseshoe, and that's costing him time against Ben Joseph and giving Kieran Quirk a good opportunity to catch back up. Meanwhile, Cleo with a new personal best. Another 3/10 extended against Watts, Bell and Gray. Stuart Gray all over the back of Mike Bell now as they go through Billy's blind and into the chicane. And a good exit from Gray. Bell's covering the inside, but he's not covered it well enough. Stuart Gray up the inside into the hairpin. Stuart Gray up to third. Bell down to fourth as we're now back on board with Bell and Gray. Makes a deliberate movement that's going to not allow Bell to get anything back, as here's a replay from a couple of laps ago. Number 18, Kevin O'Neill. He's behind number 99, Alan Lewis, and O'Neill's going to get to the inside of Billy's blind and make up that place. That's for 12th. The battle's going all up and down this field as already Stuart Gray onto the tail of David Watts. There's Cleo out the chicane once again, and there's Watts, Gray, Bell, and there's a gap to Russell O'Neill into the hairpin. Look at that, Stuart Gray's going to run a bit wide, Bell's going to go up the inside, Bell up to third maybe. Gray's going to be side by side on the exit though, he's going to have the inside for the horseshoe and he's going to hang Bell out to dry. Stuart Gray defending that third position. Bell not going to let him have it too easily though, as his Ben Joseph, and that's David Waldron finally cracking Ben Joseph's defence. And David Waldron gains a place up into that 7th spot. And can Joseph get anything back? But he's clipped the curb in top bend. Now on board with Alexander, you can see the run Kieran Quirk has got. Quirk thinking about going around the outside of Joseph, but to no avail. Joseph having a defence in the middle of Billy's blind. Thought he was going to have a look at Waldron there, but he's a bit too far back. As they go on the run up to the Sturmey Straight. Meanwhile, there's the battle for second. Going through the horseshoe. Still David Watts leading. Stuart Gray's not quite on him again yet, and Mike Bell's still sitting in fourth. But in behind, Russell O'Neill's actually gaining on these three. Number 6, you can see him there with the white helmet. That gap's coming down. Sarita's shown as well with the black bumpers, making a good show of it. Then there's Waldron. Side by side is Joseph and Quirk once again. The Quirk slots back in behind at the kink. And just under 5 minutes plus a lap to go now. As into the chicane, still Waldron, Joseph, Quirk and Alexander. In fact, last lap was David Waldron's personal best as into the hairpin they go. 1, 2, 3, 4, as close as that. And through the horseshoe once again, Quirk looking to the inside in the second part of the horseshoe against Ben Joseph, but that's not going to work. Meanwhile, Stuart Gray back on the tail of David Watts into Billy's blind, and that's Russell O'Neill going past Jeff Webster. Just to put a lap on Jeff. Sarita Schoen's going to have a go as well momentarily, but now back on board with Alexander. Oh, and Kieran Quirk's had to get out of Billy's blind just a hair. That's going to give Alexander the run, and they're side by side through the chicane. Oh, Alexander in the mad crop comes out with his nose ahead. Kieran Quirk, I'm sure, is going to not let him run off into the sunset. Sure enough, there's Joseph, there's Alexander, there's Quirk. And there's Anthony Cleo. Still leading, just under 4 minutes plus lap to go, and Stuart Gray looking to the inside of the kink. He's on the outside of Billy's blind. He's going to try and switch back underneath David Watts. We're on board with Bell. Watts covers that off with the chicane now. There once again 3 karts for second place. Has a new personal best out of Bell. Stuart Gray thinking about the inside of the hairpin, but to no avail. The number 3 putting his kart in all the right places as Gray looks to the inside of the horseshoe. That's not going to work. He's going to run out wide. Bell now draws up somewhat level and tries to go around the outside of Buttons, but that's never going to work. And up into top bend once more. It's Watts still in second from Gray, from Bell. And this battling is going to be bringing Russell O'Neill closer and closer. As across the line they go once again. Look, and Russell O'Neill, another 3/10 taken out of this battle as Stuart Gray to the inside of the hairpin. Sorry, the inside of the chicane, and Stuart Gray up into second place. David Watts down to third. Bell's right on him. But a great opportunistic move there from Stuart Gray. Now David Watts and Mike Bell, and Bell's going to get a little bit of the run on Watts, trying to go around the outside of the horseshoe. That's not going to work. Now they run somewhat close to an overlap through Buttons and up around top bend once more. got Anthony Cleo leading the number 1 ahead of the number 15 of Stuart Gray. Number 3 in third is David Watts. Down to Billy's blind once again. Russell O'Neill takes another 7/10ths out of them. You can tell he's about the fastest person out on the track at the moment. They're the number 6 with the white helmet. He's giving chase. Meanwhile, I think we've actually lost David Waldron. He's pulled into the pits, but Sarita Schoen seems to be suffering a timing issue. She's out on track behind Russell O'Neill. In fact, there she is, just coming into frame. That's Ben Joseph and Paul Alexander and Kieran Quirk all over his bumper once again. So Joseph getting no reprieve. There's Alan Lewis, there's Stuart Gray in second, Watts and Bell still close together. Russell O'Neill pulls in by another 2/10ths that lap. And Sarita Schoen in 6th, a little bit of a way back from O'Neill, but still circulating. Back on board with Bell, and Watts looks over his shoulder. And that's Ben Joseph. He's clipped the curb in the kink, and Paul Alexander's going to take advantage of the open door. He's going to go through, and that's Kieran Quirk going through as well, the number 27 on the inside into the chicane. Quirk now up into, I believe that's 7th place. And Ben Joseph down 2. Can he fight back? The former junior blue champion. As here's Alan Lewis getting a lap put on him by Stuart Gray, Dave Watts and Mike Bell. So that's closed the battle for second all the way up. And through the chicane they go. There's Gray, Watts. Bell's got a good exit and he's tucked in behind David Watts. Moves to the inside for the hairpin. Mike Bell in the number 5 down the inside up into 3rd place. David Watts trying to fight back from the exit though, but nothing doing. Number 5 up to 3rd, number 3 down to 4th, and Russell O'Neill getting ever closer. Meanwhile, Anthony Cleo still pulling away. That's another 37.6 from Cleo. That's Kevin O'Neill. He's moved across just to allow the battle for second to get through unimpeded. Through goes O'Neill's son, Russell O'Neill, and then that's Alan Lewis taking advantage. Alan Lewis sneaking through into 10th place, the number 99, taking advantage of Kevin O'Neill, allowing the leaders through. Meanwhile, into the hairpin, there's Gray, Bell, Watts, O'Neill. This battle for second has not got long left, as actually Anthony Cleo is going to be up in that top bend right now. In fact, there he is, Anthony Cleo on the start-finish. He's slowing down though. Has Cleo got a problem? Don't think he has. I think he was just trying to game the clock a little bit there, but Anthony Cleo has got this race completely under control. Stuart Gray still under attack though in second, with Bell, Watts and Russell O'Neill getting ever closer, but I think O'Neill's going to run out of time. Out the Sturmey Straight once more. On board with Bell, number 15 Stuart Gray ahead of us is round the hairpin into the horseshoe. Gray just running with his car on a good defensive line. Bell can't really get around him. Seems like Bell's quicker through the slow stuff, but Stuart Gray's got the edge on the straight line. And out of the pit bend on the run down to start the final lap, Gray holding on to 2nd place. Bell's giving chase, Watts and O'Neill still in behind. Bell looking to the inside on the exit of Billy's though. Nothing doing there as Gray defends. Now on board with Kevin O'Neill. He's going to attack back against Alan Lewis into Billy's blind. And O'Neill's made the place against Alan Lewis, the number 99 and the number 18, still swapping positions even on the last lap. That's Stuart Gray running defensive through the horseshoe. Bell's still all over him though. Now on board with Russell O'Neill, who must be ruining his start, because that's David Watts right ahead of him for the next position in 4th. Meanwhile, Anthony Cleo's going to cross the line and take the win. Who's going to be second? It's Stuart Gray holding off Mike Bell. David Watts in 4th ahead of Russell O'Neill. And that's the Anthony Cleo that he needed to come out today if he wanted to have any chance of defending his championship. Number 1 Anthony Cleo, number 1 on the road, Stuart Gray, Bell, Watts, Russell O'Neill and Sarita Schoen there finishing in 6th place despite the timing error. And that's going to round out the finishers there, as that's Paul Alexander. It looks like he's just held off Kieran Quirk. The Quirk finishing, I think, 8th on the road is a fantastic performance for the novice. Ben Joseph with Ron Schoen. I think he's going to be 10th when everything's all said and done. We'll have to wait for the carts to go through scrutineering and we'll find that out. And sure enough, Anthony Cleo won the race, but 2nd place Stuart Gray was disqualified post-race for technical infringement, so that's going to move everybody else up a spot. So Cleo's going to take the win ahead of Michael Bell in 2nd, Dave Watts in 3rd, ahead of Russell O'Neill, Sarita Schoen running out the top 5 ahead of Paul Alexander. And in 7th place, the number 27, the top senior novice of the entire event, Kieran Quirk, ahead of Ben Joseph, with Ron Show 9th and Kevin O'Neill rounding out the top 10 ahead of Alan Lewis, with Jeff Webster also finishing, with David and Taylor Waldron both pulling in early with problems, and David Good with a DNS is going to round out the field. And what's that going to do to the championship? Well, we're about to find out, as David Watts is going to retain the lead of the championship, ahead of Anthony Cleal, who's going to jump up into second, Mike Bell third, Russell O'Neill and Sarita Schoen rounding out the top 5, ahead of Taylor Waldron, Stuart Gray, David Waldron, Paul Alexander and Ben Joseph, number 40, rounding out the top 10. So you can see David Watts and his father Mike just discussing what's gone on out on track. It seems like Watts is saying, you can read his body language correctly, there's a bit of a lack of grip around some of the bends. Could be a tyre problem, it's very hot today, who knows. But what that's going to do to the Blue Masters standings, Anthony Cleal is going to extend his lead from Russell O'Neill, with Stuart Gray third ahead of Ben Joseph, David Waldron, Paul Alexander, Ron Schoen, Kevin O'Neill, David Good and Alan Lewis. And in the Blue Veterans, Anthony Cleal once again is going to extend his championship lead from Stuart Gray, David Waldron, ahead of Paul Alexander, Ron Schoen, Kevin O'Neill, David Good and Jeff Webster, with Mark Cook in 9th and Nigel Vickery in 10th, and he's going to be returning to the circuit next time out at Clay Pigeon, so we'll be looking forward to seeing him back. In the Blue Legends Championship, Stuart Gray is going to hold the lead ahead of event winner Ron Schoen, with Kevin O'Neill third ahead of David Good, Jeff Webster, Mark Cook, Robin Sartstones, and newcomer Chris Underhill, and we'll be seeing him next time. And in the Blue Top Weights, Ben Joseph took the event win in order to take the championship lead ahead of Ron Schoen, Mark Cook, Alan Lewis, Paul Dybel, Rob Mortimer, with Mike Watson and another newcomer Phil Shears. In the Zabor Fund Championship, Russell O'Neill is going to extend his lead ahead of Mike Bell, with Kevin O'Neill and Ron Schoen moving into joint third, ahead of Anthony Cleal, who's up to 5th, ahead of Sarita Schoen, with David Waldron, Paul Alexander, David Good and Jeff Webster rounding out that championship. That's for drivers who will purchase a cart and get their engine serviced by Tabor. And that's going to round out the action from this month at Clay Pigeon. The Formula Blues will be back next month, once again at Clay Pigeon, for their twice scheduled O Plate, so we will see you then. Goodbye.